Shalom, shalom. Before I get started, I want to give all honor and praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakaha Kwadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who teach and rule well. Peace and blessings and salutations to the sincere believers, the Akim who teach this word in truth and in sincerity. And the 1/3, shalom unto you. This your brother Yaladaba coming at you with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. And we're going to get straight into it, man. You know, this lesson is going to be pretty much on the Sabbath. And how do we know we in the Sabbath? And how to keep the Sabbath, you know. And it's going to be a quick lesson, you know. I pray this is an edifying one. So, you know, amongst Israel, you know, one of the big camps known as the IUIC, you know, that's a group which they keep the Sabbath, you know, Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. But, you know, according to the scriptures, man, that's not it, you know. You know, we keep our Sabbaths based upon the new moon, but, you know, and the moon helps us determine what day the Sabbath will land on in that current month, man, you know. Because one thing we got to remember, that the laws, they were given to us in the wilderness, you know. And in those days, days weren't being kept like a 7-day week, things like that, you know. And we got to know that, you know, keeping the Sabbath from Friday sundown to Saturday sundown, that's not biblical, man, you know. But, you know, again, if you keep that sincerely, you know, if you keep the Sabbath to the best of your ability, you know, well, hey, man, you know, that's good. But, you know, basically we're going to break it down on how to correctly keep it, you know, and when it will land. So, let me get this here. This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, Sirach, chapter 43 and verse 6. He madeth the moon also to serve in her season, for a declaration of times and a sign of the world, right? So, you know, this word moon in the Hebrew also goes into her month, man. Verse 7, from the moon also to serve in her season. It's like it, that's 6. Verse 7, from the moon is the signs of feast and light that decreaseth in her perfection. The month is called after her name, right? Because the moon and month are synonymous, man, you know. Increasing wonderfully in her changing, being an instrument of the armies above, shining in the firmament of heaven. Verse 9, the beauty of heaven, the glory of the stars and ornaments, giving light in the highest places of the Lord. At the commandment of the Holy One, they will stand in their order and never faint in their watches, you know. And, you know, here it is that the moon and all her changing is how we're able to tell time, you know, because the moon, you know, it gives different shapes. It takes different shapes according to the day, man. And it's really based upon how the light hits it, you know. And that's how we're able to tell the time between you know, the new day, you know, because it also, just as how we keep the Sabbath, you know, from whatever day the Sabbath may be in that month, you know, it starts at evening, you know, because that's where the day, that's the new day, you know, according to the scriptures, man, you know. And that's how we're able to tell time, you know. And another way is that we can get that here in the scriptures. This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 23 and verse 32. And it shall be unto you a Sabbath of rest, right? So when the Sabbath take place, man, you know, realistically, uh, we're supposed to rest on that day, man, and we're supposed to, you know, be focused on the Lord, you know. And ye shall afflict your souls, and in the 9th day of the month at evening, from evening unto evening, shall ye celebrate your Sabbath, right? So when we read this scripture, we know that the day, again, it begins at evening, you know, to the evening of the next day, and then that's just one day, you know. But then again, if going back to Ecclesiasticus chapter 43 and verse 6, we know that the Sabbath is really based on how the moon, you know, because the Lord made the moon, you know, to serve in her season, man. You know, at night we know that it's a new day based upon the moon, you know. And we know these things, man, because it's in the scripts, you know. And you know, this is a topic where we know that a lot of Jake buckle up because they're not familiar with the history of things. You know, they believe that the 7-day week has been from the beginning, you know. But in the time of Yahweh Shai, I believe that things were being kept at 8 days a week type thing, you know. And even in the wilderness, you know, certain calendars going back, you know, they kept a 10-week law, you know. And so every time weeks were different in certain ages of time now, you know, people had kept them in different days. Let me get this here. This is the book of Genesis chapter 1 and verse 14. Then the Most High Yahweh said, let there be lights in the firmament of heavens to divide the day from the night, right? And these lights from the firmaments, man, you know, it's also the sun and the moon, you know, because they let us know the difference between daytime and nighttime, so-called, you know. And let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years, right? So, you know, the sun and the moon help us determine time, man, and the duration of time, you know. It also helps us to keep track of how many days have passed and gone, you know. So that's also one way how we're able to tell the Sabbath, man, you know, when the Sabbath will come, because we know that the Sabbath comes differently every month, man, you know. And again, it's also based on the moon, you know. And I wish I was able to screen record on my phone where I can show you the days, the different shape that the moon takes place when the Sabbath is around, man, you know. Let me get this here. Okay, this is the book of Isaiah chapter 66 and verse 23. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, all flesh shall come to worship before me, saith the Lord Yahweh. And right, and this is referring to the kingdom, man. You know, because in the kingdom, we're gonna be keeping the law, the whole law, perfectly, man, and we're gonna be keeping the Sabbath perfectly as well. You know, because right now, Jake and Israel, we not all keeping the Sabbath um, together, man. You know, you got IUIC keeping it Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. You know, us here at Great Millstone, we keep it based upon the new moon. You know, and you know, people all throughout the world, who who take practices of the scriptures, they keep the Sabbath differently, man. You know, but in the kingdom, we gonna keep it as how the scriptures say to keep it. You know, and we gonna keep it all perfectly in unison, man. You know, but yeah, pretty much, the Sabbath is also it's based upon the how the moon is based upon the moon, right? Because you know each month we have a new Sabbath that we keep. You know, it lands on a different day. You know, but yeah, you know, us here in captivity, man. You know, again, we have to keep everything to the best of our ability. You know, because we know that no one in Babylon keeps the law perfectly. You know, but hey, this is why Yahweh Shai was also this is why we have the mercies of Yahweh Shai, man. You know, so when we get to the kingdom, every Israelite will be able to keep the law perfectly, man. You know, and the moon is a sign for our feast days and the Sabbath. So we gotta also remember that. And again, you know, I just want to give all honor and praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakah HaKodash. I pray this was an edifying lesson. And with that, Shalom.